What's up, guys? It's your girl Elle with What the Hell Reactions, and we are back with this video. We're going to hear REESA talk about how he tried to come back to the house and how he ended up getting arrested after he did try to make his way back to the house. All right, guys, and at the very end, she's going to be giving some key thoughts about her experiences and what she has learned in this process that I think we could all learn from. All right. Also, she's going live Sunday on her TikTok page from 12 to 2. So if you're interested in asking questions and finding out more about this story, go ahead and check it out. I'm going to try to check it out myself, too. And don't forget, if you want to play it all back, check out the playlist from video 1 all the way to 50.
Part 44. Who the fuck did I marry? The videos that you saw earlier were filmed earlier today. And yes, I'm aware. It was brought to my attention. I had to make a decision whether or not to finish, keep my word, or stop, disappear. I mean, disappear. Let's finish. So, first of all, let me say this. It is not easy telling this story. It's entertaining. I know it's gone viral. But it is not easy telling this story. I made a decision to tell this story. I made a decision to share my story, what I went through, in hopes that it helps just one person. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you all, it is not easy telling this story, to relive it, to face certain things out loud that I had to face internally. Just want to say that. So I will push forward to finish, but today got to me. The toll of this got to me today. So I know that you all are like, we're waiting on the next part. We're waiting on the next part. I appreciate that. And I get it, because if I was in those shoes, I would be waiting too and be like, where is it? So I understand that. But the toll was real today. All right. So with that being said, we are still in July of 2021. I talked to the brother, Chris. I talked to the aunt. I talked to all these people. And now was the time where I had saw the receipts for the weekend jail type thing. So I went ahead and did a search for his criminal history. I ran his criminal history. I did that on my own at home with my money. So this was not, I think someone had asked if I did anything with my job. No, I did not. I know better. So I ran a criminal history, or I paid for a criminal background report. For him to say that he appreciates law enforcement so much, it was obviously a lie, because the criminal history showed that he had been arrested for criminal trespassing. He had been arrested for suspended license, suspended registration. But the big thing was impersonating an officer. If you don't know anything about impersonating an officer, it is a felony. Period, point blank. As sure as Peachtree runs from Bankhead to Buckhead, it is a felony. So seeing what court it was in, I did another open records request for the incident report. I wanted to know exactly what the circumstances were, especially given the fact that I worked in law enforcement at the time. What were the circumstances as to how he was arrested for impersonating an officer? So I did an open records request. I got the incident report, and I'm tired of saying my jaw hit the floor. But on this one, my jaw hit the fucking floor. I respect law enforcement. Again, I was working in an agency with a lot of great men and women. Basically, what the incident report, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it sitting in front of me. Basically, what the incident report shows is that he pretended to be an officer using a badge. I later found out it was the badge that his dad had as a former correction officer. Same last name. So he was pretending to be a police officer at an apartment complex on the south side of Atlanta and proceeded to tell people that he was an investigator and he was looking for drugs. He also proceeded to try to pat down someone, and then also proceeded to try to go into a woman's apartment and do a search. This is in the incident report. So naturally, the woman who he was trying to get into her apartment to do a search happened to either work with or worked at a local police department. So she just simply called her coworkers or called her homeboys or whatever. And so he was subsequently arrested and subsequently was charged and found guilty. That is what I found in his criminal record report. It is fair to note, had I known that he had a criminal history, we never would have even finished date number 1. Some things I'm just not going to get involved with if I know from the rip. So what does this mean? Again, we've been going over what's the lie, what can you confirm? I can confirm that there was no way that this man ever had a passport to take me to London. When he claimed that he was voting in the election, there's no way that he did, because he tried to tell me that he was still a registered voter in California and that he did it online. I knew it was a lie, but again, at this point in July, I'm able to confirm that, yeah, you never had a passport. You never voted. The small things that mean something to me, he never did it. He wasn't eligible to. So now I know that not only have you, yes, been arrested. Now, what happened as a juvenile, I don't care. But you have been arrested. You have done some sort of time. And now it explains why you knew your way around the county so well. If you go back to the previous videos, I had mentioned that I was wondering, how do you know your way around here? And the story was his sister used to live in this county and he would come visit when he would fly in from California, when he would go see his parents in Augusta. That was the story. So that explains the criminal history. And I'm also going to take you guys back and remind you when I had to go in for my polygraph and how the polygrapher had asked me, do you know anyone that is a convicted felon that you have relationships with, blah, blah, blah. And remember, I said to him, my husband and I are estranged. I honestly don't know. Fast forward to July, where I find out that yes, in fact, on top of everything, I was married to a convicted felon. Had no idea. No idea whatsoever. And it's nothing but the grace of God that I was honest with the polygrapher and telling him, look, I don't know what's in this man's background. To say that I have no idea who I married is an understatement. It is a complete understatement. It's fair to say, well, you only knew him for like 2.5 weeks before you quarantined with him. That's fair. And I can understand that, and I take responsibility for that. But in the big scheme of things, I had no idea the creature that I was sleeping next to every night. No idea. All right, part 45, who the fuck did I marry? So we are now end of July, August time frame. During this time, Legion basically disappeared. Remember, I'm still waiting on the final divorce decree to come up. I'm actually waiting for the 30 days to be up so I can file the divorce settlement form. So I'm waiting on those 30 days to be up. I'm playing nice with him. I'm being cordial. I have uncovered all kinds of stuff. But just in case he was going to act a fool, I was trying to be cordial. So I had spoken to him on like a Monday, and I was trying to get a hold of him for something, but I'm the one that initiated a phone call in the coming days. Never heard from him. Never heard from him at all. His phone was dead. It was going straight to voicemail, and I genuinely was worried. A few days turned into a week. By the time I hadn't heard from him in a week, because I knew he was not living anywhere but his car. I knew that. So this is what happened, y'all. I first reached out on Facebook. Remember, even though he has told me that he had all these siblings, we know he didn't have all these siblings. But remember, I told y'all I had met the brother in Augusta, and I had met the brother in Baltimore. These are people I've met. The brother in Baltimore I talked to on FaceTime. The brother in Augusta I've actually physically met, hugged, shake hands, all that. So I reached out on Facebook to people that I remember him talking about all the time. The friend Omar, the brother in Augusta, the brother in Baltimore, another cousin in Augusta. I was doing a search for these people's names, just like, hey, have you heard from Legion? The brother in Augusta told me, no, I haven't heard from him. I've been trying to reach him, but the phone's going straight to voicemail. I knew he was living in his car. So my brain was doing everything it could not to go on the deep end. I reached out on Facebook to the brother in Baltimore, and I said, hey, gave him my name, and I said, have you heard from Legion? Now, mind you, the brother in Baltimore and him have talked on speakerphone. I guess it's important that I make that distinction. They have talked on speakerphone. So I know that they have talked at least in 2020. So I said to him, again, according to Legion, they talk all the time, but I have heard them on the phone in 2020. So I said, have you talked to him? The brother from Baltimore informs me, no, I ain't talked to him. He owes me money. So I ain't got nothing to say to him. And I said, wait a second, like, he was telling me that y'all are brothers. He was like, man, he's like a brother, but I don't fuck with it. I don't fuck with him because he owes me money. So they had not spoken. This is now July 2021. They had not spoken in well over 6 months. So all the phone calls, this is what it means, guys. All the phone calls that he had with the brother in Baltimore in 2021 were not real. Then I reached out to the Omar guy, and I remember the story was that he and him known each other's years since California, worked together at the condiment company. I reached out to Omar and said, have you heard from Legion by any chance? Explained who I was. He responds with, and I'll never forget it, he responds with, no, I have not heard from him. I have absolutely no contact with him whatsoever. We are not friends, and I would appreciate if you do not reach out to me again about him. The stories I was told was that this dude is supposedly his best friend. Shocking moment. So they had not spoken in years. They're not cool. He does not fool with him. Okay. Went on to the next person, a female cousin I had met. She said, no, I have not heard from him. Why would I hear from him? We don't really talk. Like, I think she was genuinely weirded out by the fact that I'm reaching out to her out of the blue asking, hey, by any chance, have you talked to my soon-to-be ex-husband? So what I discovered because he ended up being gone for 2 weeks. What I discovered in those 2 weeks, let me be very clear with the statement I'm getting ready to make. I reached out to every person I know who apparently has had some form of relationship with him. Either he said that they were friends, they talked on the phone, he said they hung out. The brother in Baltimore, I was told, had been to the house while I was at work. Brother in Baltimore said, no, that never happened. I've never been to your house. All these people knew that Legion was a liar. And I think that they all felt bad, with the exception of the Omar guy, felt bad that I was kind of just discovering what they've known for years. In those 2 weeks, I found out every single person I reached out to, not a single one of them gave a shit if that man was dead or alive. All of them had the attitude, some even said it, no, I haven't heard from him. I don't care to hear from him. It was as if it was, for me, it was such a sad moment, because I discovered this man has no friends. Fuck whatever he has said. I am now able to prove it. He has no friends. There is nobody who is concerned that they have not heard or seen him in over 2 weeks. Some people months. One guy years. None of them were concerned. So basically what I'm saying is that I discovered he had burned bridges with everyone. Burned bridges with family, burned bridges with so-called friends, burned bridges with fake brothers, fake sisters, fake aunties, uncles, everything. He had burned bridges with everyone. And for me, that was more telling than anything else. Yes, I knew he was a liar. Yes, I knew he had made stuff up. I was genuinely surprised to discover nobody gave a shit about this man. No one. I had never met every single family member, but the fact that he was living in his car, the fact that he wasn't bathing and was just had disappeared, was shocking to me. So, where was he for those 2 weeks? Glad you asked. He had checked himself into a behavioral hospital in Augusta. Why? Not to get help. No. This is July in Georgia. It's hot as hell. It's sweaty. It's damp. It's humid. It's everything. He checked himself into a hospital so he could stop sleeping in his car for 2 weeks. When he checked himself in, they took his phone, and that's why no one was able to get a hold of him. And by no one, I mean me. He checked himself into a hospital so that he could have a bed for a couple of weeks. That's the type of human being that I was dealing with. Part 46, who the fuck did I marry? So after the whole missing in action debacle where he disappeared for a couple of weeks, Legion started calling and texting me, telling me that he was ready to come home. Yes, you heard that correct. So apparently someone had told him that legally he did not have to leave the house when I kicked him out, because it was a marital home and he had just as much right to be there as I did. So he started harassing and calling the shit out of me. He was calling, 30 times in 1 hour. He was Facebook Messenger calling me. Let me be clear. Facebook Messenger calling me. He was calling me so much. He was messaging me saying, I'm coming home. I'm going to get some money and drive up from Augusta. You have to let me in the house. It's not fair what you're doing. All this other bullshit. It was non-stop. He would start calling at 7 o'clock in the morning. He would not stop calling until 10 o'clock at night. He was calling so much, leaving messages, like I said, just straight up harassing me. So I reached out to attorney friends. I reached out to local law enforcement. Local law enforcement informed me, well, technically, he's right, because He is still legally your husband. Our divorce had not been finalized at this point. The paperwork had been sent in. I was just waiting on the judge to give me her signature, but it hadn't happened yet. So the local law enforcement did tell me if he comes back, our officers would have to let him in the house. You don't have to stay there. They gave me different options. I mean, I was trying everything in the book because he is saying I'm coming back to the house. I told him, do not come. You were not welcome. I'm not letting you in the house. Again, the locks had been changed. The code had been changed. So I told him, if you come to this house, step foot on this property, I'm calling the police and getting you arrested for trespassing. You should know about that. He was adamant. He was adamant that he was allowed back in the home. He didn't know the conversations I had with local law enforcement, but somebody was in his ear telling him, nah, you can go home because she's not allowed to kick you out. Okay. So I didn't know when he was scheduled to come because he was trying to get the money for the gas to get back to Clayton County. I tried everything I could. Basically, what my options were simple. Let him in the home, and I can stay in the home, put him in a room, just have no dealings with him. But again, I don't want to be under the same roof with him. This is what the local police told me. I could have an officer go room to room and let his body cam film the room to see the condition of the house. And if Legion showed up, I would leave the house. I can go to a family member's home and stay there. This is literally in August, right before my lease is up. So I was already moving. I had already secured another home, did exactly what I said I was going to do, moving to Cobb County. So I just needed a couple of weeks before I vacate the home. So the other option was, again, have the officer film the home with the body camera. That way it shows what the condition of the home is at the time that he moved in. So if anything gets messed up, I can sue him. What am I going to sue him for? But nevertheless, or the third option is I can stay there with him, make life miserable. So my plan was the option of have them film the home. I was not staying in the same house with him. I didn't care. Also, there was no guarantee, and I told the officer this, look, if y'all allow him to stay in this house, I am telling you by tomorrow morning, every utility in this house will be off. He will have no running water. He will have no air condition. This place will feel like a sauna. The officer kind of chuckled and was like, again, ma'am, I mean, this is one of those domestic situations. He is allowed in the home. Okay. So again, I had no idea when he was coming. I was on pins and needles every day. I'm seeing the phone ring, like I said, about 30 times every hour. I'm seeing the messages. I'm seeing this. I had reached out to a police captain. I had reached out to the chief of police. I was trying to get all kinds of help. Like, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. So he eventually tells me, I'm going to be there on Wednesday. This is just an example. I'm going to be there on Wednesday. I had been calling a police captain who was really gracious, really kind, and was trying to help me because I was like, bro, I just need 2 weeks and I'm out of this house. And we already knew he legally could not go to the new house. I was trying to see if I could move in early to the new place. The landlord was like, I really can't let you. So I felt like I was running out of options. He's saying he's coming. He's saying he's coming. He's adamant he's coming. I guess somebody felt sorry and gave him some gas money so he could drive from Augusta up to Clayton County. So the day before all this goes down, the police captain called me and he informs me that they ran his name through GCIC, which is a database that law enforcement agencies use. Turns out he has a warrant for his arrest So the police captain says this changes everything. If he shows up to the house, don't do anything, call us. I will have officers to your home and they will simply arrest him. So I know that this is a short part, but I'm going to dedicate the next part to what happened when he showed up to my house. Part 47, who the fuck did I marry? So here's what happened. This was mid-August. Went to work as usual. It actually happened on a Friday. I had to look at the dates. It happened on a Friday. Went to work. Still, he was calling me, texting me, messaging me that he was on his way. And so I was a bit on pins and needles all day. I was dreading going home, and that is a horrible feeling, to dread to go home. So he had called me and said that he was at the house in the driveway. I guess he had to use the restroom, so he decided to go to the Walmart up the street to go use the bathroom. I wasn't answering phone calls. I wasn't answering text messages. I simply called the police captain. I said, hey, he's saying that he's at the house. The police captain himself drove by the house, but I believe he drove by the house when Legion went to Walmart to use the bathroom. So the police captain was like, I don't see anyone there. But again, when you get home, if he is there, do not engage, call us. Okay, no problem, because I got you on speed dial. So I go home. I'm on the phone with both my mother and my aunt on a 3-way call. They're both like, oh my God, you know, what do we need to do? I drive into my subdivision. What he did not know was that he had backed into the driveway up against the garage. Normally I park my car in the garage, but what he didn't know was that at the time I was driving a fleet car. So I wasn't even in my normal car. And I know that he was waiting to see my car, the Nissan Altima that he helped get, pull in to the subdivision and then pull in towards my townhome. That didn't happen. Because I'm in a different car, he didn't recognize it. So when I turned onto my street, as sure as it is hot in Georgia in the summer, that man was sitting in the driveway in his Ford Taurus. Okay? So I live at the time not far from a cul-de-sac. So when you go straight down, you just turn around the cul-de-sac to come back up. So that's exactly what I did. I went to the corner, turned off so that I can see the house, but he would not have been able to see me. I went ahead and called 911. I was very calm, told them exactly what the captain had told me to say. I was like, my name is, the address is, I need police here because my ex-husband is here. He is not supposed to be here. And I feel as though I am in danger. She said, okay. She, again, regular phone call. She said, we're dispatching police to your home. As soon as I hang up, I then call the police captain. He immediately answers the phone. He says, we just got the call. I'm sending 4 officers your way. Okay, good. Get off the phone, call my mom and my aunt back because they were both like, call us back. Call them back on 3-way. I continue to sit there until I see 4 officers, 4 cars pull in and stop just in front of my house. So then I ease up. He gets out the car, I guess, trying to see what's going on. I explain to the officer that walks to my window. I say, this is what's going on. So I was trying to sound extra law enforcement smart. I was like, check him through GCIC. You're going to find that he has a warrant out for his arrest for violation of probation. And the officer kind of smirked because she was like, we know, we already checked GCIC. The captain called us. So I was like, okay. So anyway, they tell me to sit in the car. They go up to the window of the car and ask him to step out of the car. He does. When he stepped out the car, I was like, oh my God. I hadn't seen him since the end of June when I met him at the UPS store. And he looked bad then. He was still in the same clothes. When I told you guys when I met him, he was like a size 3X. What got out of the car was easily a medium or large. Easily. That is how, and it makes sense because, he probably wasn't eating. Except for somebody gave him $6 for chicken nuggets. But what got out of the car was something I didn't even recognize. So he gets out of the car, they arrest him. There was no incident or anything like that. He was arrested peacefully. They put him in the back seat. My neighbors are all looking like, what is going on? And so the officer comes up to me and she said, he's asking to speak to you. Do you want to speak to him? I said, yeah. So she walks with me. Keep in mind, she's wearing a body cam. So she walks with me to the window. They put the window down. And I remember looking at him. I was like, I told you not to come. And he said, I just wanted to get my stuff. I just wanted to get the TV. I said, what TV? The TV that you gave me in the divorce? And he was like, yeah, that TV. And I said, it's mine. You gave it to me. I have the fucking text messages proving that you gave me the TV. And I'm trying not to scream because the neighbors are all watching. And he was like, I know. I just needed my stuff. I'm sorry. I'll never bother you again. I'm sorry. And so I look at the officer and I was like, you have me out here with 4 fucking police cars. You have embarrassed me to no end. You have made a fool of me. And you got the audacity to now be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, fuck, you're sorry. So the officer was kind of like, okay. I said, I never want to see you again. He was like, you won't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So I walk off. The officer is like going through the stuff that was in his wallet. They took it out and put it on the roof of the car. So the stuff that was in his pants, like his wallet, his keys, they put it on the roof of the car when they had him get out the car. And so she's just like, I said, did you catch all that on body cam? And she said, yeah. I said, he gave me the TV. And she said, yeah. She's like, we're going to take him in and we'll have somebody look at him, because in her words, she said he's definitely having a mental episode right now in the back seat. And I just shrugged and I was just like, my God, I just said, I just want to be done with him. I just want to be done. And so she was like, I understand. I totally get it. So his car is in my driveway. The keys and everything are, they took it with them because I guess since it was on him, they took it with them for processing at the jail. I think that's how that works, because I didn't see the wallet or the keys afterwards. So at this point, 4 officers leave. I go into the house. Everything's peaceful and calm. A few minutes later, I go outside to check the mail. What's in the mail but a letter from the court? I open it up. I go into the house because, again, it's hot. I had my wig on. My head is all sweaty and stuff. I'm just angry and just angry. That raised my blood pressure. So I go in the house. I sit on the steps inside the house and I open up the mail from the judge, and it's my final divorce decree. And I'm smiling right now, but y'all, when I got that divorce decree sitting on the stairs, I broke down into ugly Oprah tears. I broke down. It was as if a year worth of weight came off of me. I broke down, and I mean, I wailed. I broke down. I broke down. I broke down so bad. Next part. All right, part 48. Who the fuck did I marry? So after I finished breaking down, wiped my tears, and his car is still in the driveway. I couldn't park in the driveway. So I called the car company. I had called the car company once before when he went missing for those 2 weeks to ask them if they maybe had a tracker on the car and could track it. And the nice gentleman informed me that the tracker had not been giving a signal off for about 5 months. So he wouldn't really give me details on the car, but obviously the car had not, the car payment was not being made on that car. It had not been made on that car for quite some time. So he and I split in June, but apparently the car payment wasn't made long before June. Can't speak to that, but he still had the car. So called the car company. I told them, I understand that y'all looking for this Ford Taurus. And the lady said, yes, or you can make a payment. I said, no, y'all can come get it. Here's the address. When do y'all want to get it? And she said, well, I can have a driver come get it tomorrow morning. I said, no problem. That car will be ready for you to get it tomorrow morning. And so the car was repossessed out of my driveway the next morning, Saturday. The driver was there about 7 o'clock in the morning. He had the master key for the car, cranked it up, drove it, put it on the tow truck, and left. Here's what that now means. When Legion left my house in June, he left with 2 bags of clothes. Everything else was in my house. At the end of July, or towards the end of July, everything that he had left in my house had been donated to the domestic violence shelter, which means that the only thing that Legion had were the clothes that he had taken with him in the car. When he got arrested in my driveway, all of his clothes were still in the car. And when the car got repossessed Saturday morning, all of the clothes were in there. Which means that when he went to jail, whenever he got out, he only got out with keys to a car he no longer had, a wallet with probably no money in it, and the clothes that were on his back. Everything else was gone. Now we can fast forward to what happened around August 29th. So I was scheduled to move August 31st. Remember, I'm moving up to Cobb County. We had been checking the court documents. He had a court date scheduled for around August 29th or August 30th. I don't remember the exact date. The court time was supposed to be around 9 o'clock in the morning. My mom was watching the court filings online. And according to her, because I missed it, they showed him on the screen because this was still during Zoom. They showed him on the screen, and then he was ushered out of the court into like a back area, and an attorney spoke on his behalf. Between the time that he had been arrested and the time of the court date, I had never in my life slept so good. Truthfully, never slept so good. I was officially divorced. I had no ties to him. There was nothing in the house of his there was nothing of his that was still in the house. I felt free. So when the court date happened and my mom told me what she saw on the Zoom, I was confused. Is he getting out? Is he having to serve time? What's going on? I called the courts. I tried to speak to his attorney, and his attorney had a horrible attitude and was like, why are you calling me? And I informed him, I said, look, I'm a bit afraid of this man. So can you please just tell me if he is being released, or is he going to be kept, or if he is going to be sentenced to a longer jail term? He said no, he's not being kept in a longer jail term because the warrant had expired. So when the police arrested him, yes, it was a valid arrest, but the warrant had expired. So I believe the warrant had expired like 6 months earlier, but of course it wasn't put in the system. which means that if the court date is August 29th, he's going to be released August 29th or August 30th. I'm moving August 31st. So my mom was just like, please just spend the night at your aunt's house. Like, just spend the night at your aunt's house, then go back to the house during the day. The movers will be there, and then just move. So that's exactly what I did, because there was concern that he would get out of jail angry and catch an Uber with no money and come back to the house, either for retaliation or because he's just in a fucking manic mode. And so that's where he went. I really didn't want to take any chances. It's just that simple. I did not want to take any chances. I knew that at that point, legally, the law's on my side. Y'all are divorced. You have no reason to be at this home. I knew that that's what the police would say. But I wasn't 100% sure, because truthfully speaking, I did not know this man. We can make all the jokes we want. I did not know this man. I thought I knew him, but you never really know a pathological liar. So, needless to say, he got released August 30th. I went to my aunt's house for the night. August 31st, I went back to the house. The movers were there. They packed me up, and we got out of there so quick. I think they packed me up in about 2 hours. I honestly told them, there is extra money in this if you guys can get me packed up, meaning loaded up onto the truck, because everything was packed. But I explained to them, this is a domestic situation. I need you guys to move quickly. When I moved out of that house on August 31st, anything that Legion touched, I got rid of. I sold the furniture. I sold dining room tables. I donated plates, glasses. When I tell you, I moved out and I started over. I completely purged my life. Completely started over. I mean, I was not willing to take a single item into my new home that reminded me of him. From the dishes in the kitchen to the towels in the linen closet. When I tell you Amazon and Ross were my best friends, I mean they were my best friends, because I could not fathom moving into a new home, a new space, with anything that reminded me of him. I sold the bed, got a new bed. If he had bought me clothes, I got rid of them. If he bought me shoes and purses, okay, I kind of kept the heels. But everything else I got rid of. So I completely purged my life. Completely. Started over from the bottom in terms of just the move. I could not take any piece of him with me. Could not. Part 49, who the fuck did I marry? So after the whole, I moved and I started over, basically, completely started over. So there was a period of time where different people had reached out to me, people who knew him. Apparently, he was still trying to find a couch to sleep on. And so one guy in particular had reached out to me because I guess Legion had asked him if he could come and stay with him and his family, because he was homeless and had nowhere to go. And so he had lied and told the guy, because again, he's a liar. So he had lied and told the guy that, I had kicked him out. We're divorced. I had taken all his money. And so that's why he's homeless. So the gentleman simply was reaching out to me on Facebook to confirm what is actually true. And he and I talked, because he ended up calling me. He and I talked for a while. Very respectful, really nice guy, very compassionate. And so I told him, I was like, I said, we are divorced. So I have nothing to do with him. I said, I wouldn't bring him in my house with my family if I were you. But that's just me. And so the guy was like, lady, he didn't say lady, but he was like, lady, you dodged a bullet. He was like, I know you may not see it now, my sister, but you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet big time. And so, just in talking to him, he was very encouraging. Like, it sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. It sounds like you a good woman. And no, he was not flirting at all. He was like, it sounds like you a good woman. And I really hope this does not mess you up. Like, don't let him mess you up. Don't let him like diminish your shine, kind of thing. And I appreciate that. I did, because at that time, again, had moved into my new place. 2021 was the worst year I ever had. I'm not saying that so that 2024 can be like, hold my beer. But 2021 was a dark year. Started out married, end of the year divorce, end of the year with COVID and divorce. And that period of time, that August, September time, I felt like I was just walking around like a numb woman. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't know what to do, because I felt like I had just been through hell. And it was a period of time where I had to sit down and I had to really, really deal with some stuff that I just simply was not ready to deal with. Things that I had to come to grips with that I really wasn't ready to come to grips with. So fast forward all this time, get to December of 2021. Yes, this is where the story does end. Get to December of 2021. I am out sick with COVID. I'm not at work. I get a phone call from my coworker telling me that Legion has called our job looking for me and was trying to get information on how to reach me. Yes, I had already changed my number. Again, I had already moved, but he knew where I worked. So apparently he had called trying to find me, and the person that answered the phone was like, we're not going to give you that information. So he said, well, can you ask her to give me a call? I'm just trying to get a hold of her so I can get my stuff. The stuff he's talking about are those tote bags from July. So he was calling. And it was a problem. He was trying to reach out to me on Facebook. He was trying to reach out to family members on Facebook, trying to get me to call him so that he could make arrangements to come get his stuff. The devil is a lie. So my friend Tracy, who came to my rescue again, my friend Tracy was like, okay, here's what you're going to do. She said, you're going to send him a message and you are going to say these exact words. I sent him a text message. She said, and she told me, you're going to send a text message because it's going to be time-stamped. And basically the text message says, I do not have your stuff. I did not have your stuff. I have nothing that belongs to you. If you continue you are disrupting the work of my job by calling and asking for me. We have no contact with each other. I will send you a copy of the divorce decree that shows whatever is in your possession you own and whatever is in my possession I own. If you contact me directly or indirectly ever again, I will get a restraining order on you. Now, for those of you who are watching this in 2024, and you're probably like, wow, she's dramatic. Please understand that what I just said, I meant. I mean that. If you ever try to contact me directly or indirectly, I will get a restraining order. I have it in writing. I've always had it in writing. And if I need to rewrite it again in 2024, I will, because the boundaries still stand. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last time I had any contact whatsoever with my pathologically lying ex-husband. Part 50, who the fuck did I marry? So, the aftermath. There are some realizations I had to come to after the divorce and everything had passed. One, Legion never loved me. He never loved me. He doesn't love himself, so I know he didn't love me. Number two, he didn't even like me. He watched me get excited about things that he knew I was not going to get. And not even just the possession stuff. Like, of course, we know I was excited to be the woman whose husband is like, I'm taking my wife to London. I was excited to be the woman whose husband was like, yeah, I bought my wife a brand new BMW X5. You have to understand, as all the jokes that we make about the BMW, it was the time and effort that he spent in taking me to dealerships and being sure to put me in the car and test drive the car and, you know, oh, I can see you in this. I like this for you. It seems safe. It was the effort to really make me believe that he was going to get this just for him to fuck with me. The effort in taking me to all these homes to see my face light up as a woman who grew up on welfare, to be able to walk into these 4 and 5 bedroom homes knowing that he didn't have any money to buy it. Imagine if he had just been honest and said, hey, I like in my free time to go to open houses and just see how the other people live. Imagine if he had just said that versus wasting not only my time, but the wasting the time of the realtors who did nothing wrong. There's a level of cruelty to my ex-husband that I had never experienced before. And God knows, I pray I never experience it again. That's the word that comes to mind when I think of him. He is cruel. And it wasn't just me, he did it to the ex-wife. So, do I trust? No. I trust the people who were in my life before him. If we were friends or if we were in a relationship or whatever and I knew you before him, I trust you explicitly. But if you're somebody I just met, I don't trust you. I don't. There's no point in me getting on here and saying and making it seem like, oh, I'm so strong, I'm so brave. I struggle big time. Because on one hand, I want to like someone. On the other hand, I'm immediately thinking, what if it's a repeat? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I can't go through that again. I can't. Every single thing in our relationship was a lie. It took me a while to realize every single day this man lied to me. Every single day he lied to me. Every conversation he had was a lie. I will never know how much he lied to me. I'll never know. I've made my peace with it. I will never know how deep it really truly goes. I only know what I experienced, and I only know what God allowed me to see. But I'm willing to bet that there's a lot I still don't know. When people say, oh, you dodged a bullet, like you just, and I've read a lot of the comments on this, and people have sent me a lot of the comments. And so I need to make one thing very clear. I am fully aware I dodged a bullet. I am so grateful to my God that I did not have that man's child. I'm sorry if that offends some of you. but it's the truth. I'm grateful that we didn't buy a house and that I'm not financially tied to him in any way, shape, or form. But I am also grateful for the fact that there are things about my ex-husband that I discovered in terms of how he is when it comes to other women. And I'm grateful that God has kept me and protected me. That's all I'm gonna say. So when I started out making this series and I made the decision to tell my story, my motive was I just want to help one person. If there is a woman out there who's like, God, I want to be married and I met this guy and something don't seem right, but maybe it's not that bad. My advice is, honey, just go ahead and do your research, because I can honestly tell you, being single sucks. Okay, in my opinion, sometimes it sucks, but being married to the wrong person is a type of hell no one should have to go through. You should not have to be married to someone that does not like you. You should not have to be married to someone that doesn't even love you. And I know what that is like. I know what it's like to be told, hey babe, I love you. And yet, I swear I think that man sat back in the recliner with his WWE Championship Roman Reigns belt and laughed his ass off at me every day. Like, damn, she really believed it. Ha 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 ha. I do. I really do think that. My radar was broken because I am an intelligent woman and I know that I know better. And I still sometimes ask myself, how the fuck did you let this happen? How did you let this be your story? All because at the time I wanted it to be my turn. And I hoped it was my turn. And when people say, well, what do you mean by that? I just meant, we all see it, whether it's social media or real life, we all see where the woman she done been through some stuff, but she finally met someone who appreciates, loves, and respects her. And it is a beautiful thing. I had hoped that when I met him, it was my turn for that. And instead of being obedient, I wanted to be right and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And the cost of that decision was heavy. The toll of reliving this whole scenario was heavy. It was. I'm almost surprised at how hard it was to actually finish this playlist. Not because I couldn't remember stuff. I probably remember way more details than what I actually put out. But it's just the fact that it's like I'm reminding myself, how did you let this happen? So, therapy is real. Therapy helps. Stella Rosa Black helps too. And yes, I will one day get to London. I will get my dark blue BMW X5 with a cognac interior. I believe I will get those things. Just got to get them a different route. So, thank you all for being on the playlist of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? I promise I will go live, and I will let you all know when I go live so that we can have a wine night full of question and answers. Thank you for watching.